This NBA Eastern Conference win totals edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, Virginia, and Arizona. From boosted parlays to in-game odds on every major sport, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign today to receive a $1,000 risk-free sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by PropSwap, America's marketplace to buy and sell sports bets. Check out the new PropSwap.com and use promo code SGP on your first deposit to receive up to $500 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Prediction Strike. Prediction Strike is the only performance-based sports stock market where you can buy and sell shares of professional athletes. Use promo code SGP to receive a free athlete share with your first deposit of $20 or more. We're also brought to you by OddsCrowd. Are you the best NBA bettor in the United States? OddsCrowd is challenging you to prove it with their free-to-play fantasy betting contest. There's $3,000 up for grabs this season and $200 every week in the weekly contest. Just head over to oddscrowd.com to sign up now. And of course, don't forget to download the SGPN app, your home for all of our free picks and podcasts.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking that money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer? Dog.
Every year it's on my calendar. I just nothing but love when it comes to talk about my New York Knickerbockers and the great Jimmy D.
Yes, James Dolan, legendary owner, legendary musician. I'm sure we'll get into him a little bit. We just knocked out the Western Conference win totals. Now we're going to be cranking out the Eastern Conference win totals. Ryan, it's I mean, your Knicks. Well, we'll get to it when we get to the Knicks. But your Knicks. What is the overall feeling about the Knicks coming into the season?
In some ways, many ways, I love having a team with a high floor and a low ceiling. Love it. They play hard. They're playing hard in the preseason. They play hard in the regular season.
Yeah.
Tibbs. If I was a professional coach, I would be Tibbs. Just play as hard as you can at all times. Play as hard as you can. Earn the respect of your teammates. Get it done. Play defense. Do things as a team. I like him. I don't think he's made for the modern NBA though. So
no, he's not a guy that's gonna win you an NBA championship, but he's a fun coach to root for, a fun coach to have action on in the NBA regular season win totals. And of course, if you want action, you better be heading over to WynnBET.com or downloading the Wynn betting app. Not only can you get all these NBA win totals that we will be talking about, pulling the numbers right from WynnBET.com here, but they also have a bunch of fun season long, basically legends versus current player prop bets. And Munaf wrote up a whole post about him. You can check him out over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Here's another one that's pretty fun. Alvin Iverson's sophomore year, points per game and assists per game. That was at 28 versus LaMelo Ball's sophomore year, points per game and assists per game for this season. Now it is per game.
Is that not the tale of two generations?
Yes.
Exactly. One guy is chastised for being a personality and the other is freaking doing shows. Like,
imagine if AI's dad was involved. I can only imagine Allen Iverson's dad is a character.
If these modern NBA guys had half the heart of Iverson.
Now Munaf, he liked taking LaMelo Ball at plus 150. I'm never gonna fade Iverson, but at plus 150, I could certainly see the assists per game and points per game, and LaMelo not the scorer obviously that Iverson was. So these are some pretty interesting prop bets. We talked about the Barkley one on the Western Conference, so make sure you download the Wynn betting app and head over there today to get involved. All right, let's start talking about some Western Conference win totals. He's one of the co-hosts over on the NBA Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, the Propcast. Does it all. Give it up for Munaf Manji, aka the Machine. What's happening, Munaf?
What's on, guys? Basketball starts next week. I'm excited.
Yes.
Ben Simmons, I see you over there. Is that Ben Simmons over there?
No, it is still not a Ben Simmons jersey. This is an Embiid jersey. I was having this discussion with my buddies in the group chat, and we were predicting that when Ben Simmons comes out for the Sixers, which it sounds like he will start the season on the team, that it will be the loudest a human has ever been booed. And I mean, try and think of someone who's been booed harder.
Can we get this covered
Especially
on the Die Hard
booed,
Eagles podcast?
Yes, we'll do a whole segment on it, especially booed in his own stadium. Now maybe there was an opponent, but I'm just trying to think.
Ray Hanley, head coach for the New York Giants in the early '90s after Parcells. The first quarter there would be Ray must go chants going. So, but I hear you. And real quick, I wanted to compliment Munaf. No load management problems over there. Participating in the doubleheader back to back. So love it.
Yes, and also joining us for the Western Conference. Win totals. You can hear them on the NBA Gambling Podcast. Shows up on a ton of our shows on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Terrell Furman coming all the way from across the pond overseas. Thank you for finding time, Terrell. Appreciate it, man.
Of course. Love to get in here and talk to you guys. And I have the perfect fade Ben Simmons prop.
Oh,
ooh. All right, maybe
so save that for the
Sixers.
Sixers.
We'll save it for the Sixers, and we're going to start from the worst, get to the best. So it'll be a while before we talk about the Nets, but certainly a lot to unpack there. Orlando Magic 22.5. I mean, does it sound crazy, Munaf? Is 22.5 a little high for this Magic team? Where are you at with the Magic?
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of pieces. I'll say on this roster. I mean, obviously they picked up Jalen Suggs in the draft this year. They also added the other Wagner brother on this roster.
I'm sorry, who? The Wagner brother? Wagner.
Yeah, not Wagner, from what I've heard and read. But I just feel like there's a log jam in this backcourt. I think there's some pieces that some of these contending teams can pick up come trade deadline, like a Gary Harris. Terrence Ross, I don't think will be on this roster come trade deadline. Robin Lopez, another piece that might be on the move later on in the season. A new head coach, like we talked about in the Western Conference, that we kind of like to fade first year head coaches. I'm going to take the under on this Orlando Magic roster. They have good pieces. Maybe they're another year or two away from at least getting into the playoffs. They can add another piece to the draft if they don't do well this year. So give me the under for the Orlando Magic this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Under on Orlando Magic. I mean, they really blew everything up last year. Not that they had a lot to blow up anyway, but normally I'd lean towards over on the lowest win total. But I think with the NBA, when these teams just clearly pack it in, it's hard to take the over, even at 22.5. Terrell, any case for the over on the Magic?
Man, you guys, I love the over for the Magic.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is way too low. And it's really because of the coach Jamal Mosley and this young team he has. So the longtime Dallas Mavericks assistant, he was a guy that everybody's like, he's going to get opportunity. He's going to get opportunity. When is it going to come? When is it going to come? And he gets, a rebuild with this Magic team. But if you look at the pieces they have, I love this team and just the scrappiness and the young pieces. Mo Bamba is a center that can take over the league this year. Like he can be one of the top centers this year. This is the leap. Centers is a position that it takes a while. It takes about 4 or 5 years for a center to really make that leap and get in there. He's getting to that point. And then you got guys like Markelle Fultz, you got RJ Hampton, a whole bunch of really good guard play. And I think that this is going to be a team where they're going to be really good against the spread. They're going to get a lot of points in a lot of these games. They're going to cover a lot of games, and they're going to win a few of them outright. And I think they can get over this 22. They're absolutely not the worst team in the East.
Impassioned case by Terrell, Ryan. Where are you at with the Magic?
I mean, I think you take the under. I think you take the like. I understand what he's saying. He's being a smart better, but what I would the counter argument.
There's no room for that here.
The counter argument would be is in 2021. This is the time where we're more open than we've ever been before. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to be different, and we're seeing NBA teams embrace this, being very open about their tank jobs. And while I appreciate the coaching nugget as a championship pedigree coach myself, I think it's going to take some time. And 22.5 is going to be the kind of bet where you're going to be sweating down to the last week of the season. They might cover a lot of games.
Yeah, Terrell, I like that angle,
but I don't think they're going to win them. Give me the under.
No, I think Terrell nailed it as far as them being really good ATS. Still a little skeptical on the overall wins. Detroit Pistons 25.5 is the win total. Now, Terrell, you said the Magic weren't the worst team in the East. Is it are the Pistons the worst team in the East?
No, they're not. We're going to get to that later in the show, but they are not the worst team.
Saving it for the Knicks, right?
oh yeah, sure. Yep. Gonna reverse jinx the hell out the Knicks. But no, this Detroit team is going to be interesting if they're healthy. If it's going to be as far as Cade Cunningham takes them, honestly, like it's really going to be as far as Cade Cunningham takes them. And when he gets fully healthy and he's in there, and how quickly he can adjust to the NBA level of the game, because this is going to be the first time that Cade is not basically one of the best players on the court. Like this is going to be the first time in his career he's not one of the best players on the court, and it's going to be a hell of an adjustment to him. And you see people like sometimes struggle to make that adjustment. Zion was slow coming out the gates when he came back from his injury and making that adjustment to the floor. And then he finally got it late, but it's a little bit too late. So I'm going to fade Detroit with the under 25.5. I think that they start off a little slow. They probably find a rhythm somewhere, but at the end of the day, it's still Detroit, and they just don't have the pieces yet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's tough with these bottom tier teams.
This is a bet where you're betting, or you're betting on how good you think Cade Cunningham is.
Yeah. And maybe you honestly take the under, but then hedge it with Cade Cunningham Rookie of the Year prop or something like that. Munaf, where are you at? 25.5 for the Pistons.
Yeah, there's an interesting conundrum with this roster because there's a good clash of veterans, you can say, on this roster, young guys. And which direction do you want to go in? Obviously, you want to go in the young direction, but your top three guys or highest paid players on this team is Jeremy Grant at $20 million, who's 27, Corey Joseph, 30 years old at 12.5, and then Kelly Olynyk that they just signed in the offseason, who's 30 years old, making $12 million. So those guys are not going to be sitting on the bench, right? I think Jeremy Grant and Cade Cunningham for sure are going to be your starters. But outside of that, I mean, can you really trust this roster to win 26 games for you this season? I don't see it. I think this is going to be another one of those cases that we talked about in the Western Conference with young players. You have an older coach like Dwayne Casey. There might be a clash there. But for me, I'm going to take the under for this Pistons team also.
Kramer, how say you on the Pistons?
Yeah, I think you guys are silly to just fade Dwayne Casey like this. I think Cade Cunningham shows up, and I think they go over the total of 25.5. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe a bet on Cade and Dwayne Casey. I don't know. Maybe just purely that TMZ NBA guy here. Yeah.
Oh man, this is so.
Jared Goff going to attend some games. Maybe that give him a bump. Yeah, Dan Campbell's over there giving him
the city of Detroit needs they need something good to happen in their sports world. So maybe it's Cade Cunningham. They're due. I'll take the over 25.5. I don't. But again, some of these teams. What are you doing? Getting down on these. Speaking of which, the Cleveland Cavs sitting at 27.5 on the win total. Possible trade destination for Kyrie. That would be the ultimate. Send him back to Cleveland. Where are you at with the Cavs this year, Munaf?
I like this roster for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, they picked up arguably one of the best players in the draft, Evan Mobley. I mean, any one of those top three guys could have been you can make the argument a number one pick. But you kind of go back, Darius Garland on this roster. You have Colin Sexton. I think you picked up the veteran Ricky Rubio. They traded for Lauren Markkanen. I think there's a lot of great things that I'm hearing from the camp from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they could take a step forward to starting to be competitive again. I don't think it's going to be for another 2-3 years, but I like the roster that they put together. So I'm going to take the over for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think this is a team that probably gets to around 29-30 wins.
29 or 30. That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a fan of Ricky Rubio as well in terms of what he might bring to the situation. So I don't know. But it's Cleveland. Like there's that overwhelming. Oh, hold on. There's that overwhelming situation where. Oh wait, what's going on here? There's the overwhelming situation where we just. It's Cleveland, and I think if you're betting the over, you're barely betting the over. But I'm taking the over because, like I said, I think
Colin Sexton. I mean, for me, Colin Sexton is enough to just take this over at 27.5. Like that Sexland duo that they have, I think is frisky enough to take the over.
If you see what Mobley, like to me, I like Cade. I like all the rookies, honestly, but Mobley has like a really insane ceiling on what he could potentially be. I don't think we saw even close to what he could be at USC. So yeah, over.
All right. So we're all on the Cleveland Cavs over 27.5. Unfortunately, Terrell's internet completely gave out, but he's over there serving overseas at the United Arab Emirates. So did his best to try and make it happen, but the internet gremlin's too strong. It's the bookies, Ryan. The same people trying to stop us. They're trying to stop Terrell. We'll be throwing in. He sent in all his picks, so we'll be reading those out and giving out some of his plays as we go through here. The Washington Wizards. Oh, and his prop bet he said as well was the Ben Simmons to miss the first free throw. That you can get plus odds on that, which is an insane bet. Have to find that and have to get down on it. The Wizards, the Wiz. Nobody beats them, but according to the win total, they should be taking a decent number of L's. It's sitting at 33.5. Munaf, I'll let you kick things off. What are you doing with the Wizards this year?
Yeah, I think obviously the biggest question for the Wizards is going to be the status or what's going to happen with Bradley Beal, their best player, right? Because if it comes to a point where this team is not winning games, he's 28 years old. He's probably going to get on a contending team. Listen, in the offseason, he came out and said all the right things that he wants to stay committed to the Wizards. And take the high horse there, but I think it's going to come to a point where a team is going to come knocking on the door to make a trade offer for Bradley Beal, and I think that's going to be a offer that they can't refuse. I mean, looking at the roster, I'll quote what Terrell said to me this morning. It looks like a bunch of guys that picked up for a pickup game in a basketball league team or something. And it really is. You have Thomas Bryant that's going to be coming back from a torn ACL. He's going to be out, I think, till the end of this year. I think there's some vaccine concerns with Rui Hachimura. As outside of that, Montrezl Harrell doesn't excite me. I need to see it from Kyle Kuzma before I can back him. So for me, I'm taking the under 33.5. And again, a brand new head coach comes in for this Wizards team. So let's go with the under 33.5.
Yeah. I mean, same reason I was on the under for the Trailblazers is the reason I'm on the under for the Wizards. When the best player is signaling that he wants out and then they try and consider a trade, but then don't do the trade, and then there's still a chance he gets traded. A lot of red flags there. I'm on the under there, and Terrell is as well. It's his lock. So give me the Wizards under 33.5.
Yeah, I think you always gotta fade sellers. Especially this is a quite high number. I know it's a bit of a conundrum because of what they did last year, but it's a pretty high number for a team that seems pretty obvious they're going to be selling. Even their playoff odds, only -700. Isn't it almost a mortal lock that Bradley Beal is not going to be on this team at the end of the year? It just seems that way. Under.
Yeah. Under on the Wizards. The Raptors, their win total sitting at 35.5. I was kind of going back and forth on this one because they're only 27-45 last year, and it seems like they're losing more pieces. Feels like they're on the cusp here of the rebuild, but I like their coach, and I do think they lost Lowry obviously, and I do think having to play their season in Florida last year, being the Tampa Bay Raptors,
you think that hurt?
That's gotta be worth a couple wins there to make teams come up to Canada to play you. It's got to be a pain in the ass.
Blind over for teams. That reason. Blind over,
and that's kind of why I'm leaning over. I'll let someone smarter than me weigh in. Munaf, what are you doing on this Raptors total?
Yeah, Sean, you hit the nail on the head about them being back in Toronto. I think this is one of the arenas or teams that have a better than average home court advantage because those fans up there get real wild or they get really rowdy when this team is playing.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, right. So, and I think they still have some great pieces on this team, right? You still have Pascal Siakam, you still have Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. They added Scotty Barnes, who are underrated outside of the top three guys that we're not talking about. If you want to get down on Scotty Barnes at 12-1 to win Rookie of the Year, seen a lot of great things coming out of the Raptors camp, or especially in preseason from that guy. So they have some great pieces. I mean, they still have the Dragon Goran Dragic to take over the point guard duties. He's a guy that can still score. And like you mentioned, Sean, I like this head coach, right? He's a top 5 head coach in this league. Bounce back here, being back in Toronto, being back home, your families, your beds, your arena that you're familiar with. Let's go over with this Raptors team. I don't want to piss off our Canadian listeners.
It just seems obvious. They didn't. Yeah. They played in Florida is the opposite of Toronto.
Yes,
like they were in
every sense.
No offense to Tampa, but it's the opposite of Toronto. And I think just based on that, I can't take the under, so I'm going to take the over. I understand that the on-court stuff is a problem, and there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. But
and having the fans back, I think again, like we're kind of laying out here, it will be a big difference for this Raptors team. And Dragic is solid enough to kind of keep them scrappy, keep them in it. All right, before we go any further, I want to shout out PropSwap.com. That's right, where America goes to buy and sell real sports bets. Maybe you head out to Las Vegas, load up on some of these win totals over at the Win. You know, obviously getting 2 of some of your favorite bets, so you have 1 to cash and then 1 to sell on PropSwap when it skyrockets in value. And I mean, we're talking NBA, but now is really the time to be over at PropSwap.com with the MLB. You know, we got the League Championship Series here. The pennants are up for grab, and really it's about getting the best price because you're either selling a potential winner or buying a potential winner at a reduced rate because someone wants to hedge. It just makes good sense. And if you use the promo code SGP, they will double your bonus. That's right. PropSwap.com, promo code SGP. Also talk about Prediction Strike. That's right. It's the only performance-based sports stock market where you can buy and sell shares of professional athletes as if they were stocks. In the copy here, they mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Wow, maybe now is a good time to buy him. He's still injured, still going to be out this week, as I predicted. If you remember on the fantasy previews, I said Christian McCaffrey would be injured. He's already missed now 3 games. So important to listen to me. And I'm also saying you got to go to predictionstrike.com. It's as much of a lock as Christian McCaffrey getting injured this season. Prediction Strike, you can buy and sell shares of real athletes and they go up and down in value. Use the promo code SGP, get a free athlete share with your first deposit of $20 or more. Just that easy. Predictionstrike.com, promo code SGP. Getting back to the win totals, the Hornets 38.5. You know, Jordan's teams there. I mean, I don't know. He's just so interesting as an owner, kind of a character here. Where are we going to start here? Munaf, 38.5 for the Hornets. Feels about right as far as the number is concerned. Which way are you leaning?
Yeah, it does. You're right. This feels just about right. I mean, you could see them slightly getting under this total or going like 40 and 41 or even finishing 500.
I would say what scares me, and I'm going to lean under simply because this is one of the ones that's gotten the most action from what I've seen. Like it opened at 36.5 and it's all the way up to 38.5. I'm going to go under just on that alone, kind of fading the steam. But where are you at?
Yeah. I'm thinking under also here. I mean, I like the pieces that are on this team, right? And I think the one thing is that this team kind of fell off when Gordon Hayward got injured last season.
Yes.
And anytime, you know, you have a Gordon Hayward on your roster, he's going to get injured at some point. It's almost like he's like Anthony Davis or you know, Paul George that are always getting hurt. They have young pieces. They drafted James Bouknight on this roster. Still have young guys. I think it's going to take another year or so for them to develop. You know, I don't feel the greatest about it, but if you had to put a gun to my head, I'm going to go under on this win total.
Kramer, two sharp NBA guys, myself and Munaf on the under. Are you going to make it a third? Terrell on the over, actually. So
I mean,
could be split here.
So I guess I would ask this as the final, like, how many wins does this team have to win for this to be a successful season? Because I wonder how high their goals are set. And I wonder if that brings them to not being as scrappy as you need to be to get over a middling win total of this. Obviously, I'm not going to take an over on a bad number, Sean. I would have gotten down on 36 and a half if I was getting down on the over. What I was doing, I was waiting for our show to give you the under. And we got 2 extra wins of value because we waited, Kramer gang. So I'm going to agree with Munaf. And I'm glad you agreed with us, Sean, on the under.
I think the better bet might be the plus 175 not to make the playoffs. Also,
that's true because I don't know. I guess the East can always be a dumpster fire, but if you like the under 38 and a half, the likely, I mean, you're that's the bet.
The bet is the under. Guy. Terrell's on the island there on the over.
No, the bet is miss the playoffs plus 175.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That makes more sense. Indiana Pacers 42 and a half is the win total. Munaf, kick it off. What are we doing with the Pacers this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for this team is a significant coaching upgrade, right? Rick Carlisle now comes in. There was a lot of turmoil with this team last year with the coaches. I mean, we saw players and coaches getting into it on the sideline during the game.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and this roster has some pretty good names on it, right? Malcolm Brogdon, their draft pick Chris Duarte, I think is going to be a significant piece for them. You also still have Sabonis as your all-star player, Miles Turner. You get TJ Warren back, who's a scoring machine. There's one more name that I missed. I'm trying to find, but Miles Turner is another. Miles Turner is the other guy. So, I like what this roster has. Karis LeVert was the other guy. There is a back concern for him, but it's not something to be serious. But I think the pure coaching upgrade is going to definitely get this team over the win total of 42 and a half.
This is insane, Sean. My system has them making the playoffs in 99% of the simulations because Rick Carlisle is a good fucking coach. I love the coaching move. We've seen it before with Pacer teams. Like they are with a Rick Carlisle coached Pacers team can 100% be greater than the sum of the parts or whatever that fucking saying is. They're going to outperform over 42 and a half, more to lock to make the playoffs, minus 175.
Yeah. And doesn't this feel, I know it's not exactly the same situation, but doesn't it feel a little similar to the Knicks last year where this veteran coach who kind of has a history of getting the most out of players comes in, maybe a little hard nosed, similar with Tim, and there's enough talent on this Pacers team, especially in the regular season, to drag them to the playoffs.
But I mean, I think Tibbs is kind of a stubborn system guy. I think the thing about Carlisle is he's just a good basketball coach.
Yeah, this is even a better scenario.
Yeah, like I don't know if I would ever call Tibbs like a talent maximizer. I think he's an effort maximizer.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way to put it.
It's a different juice, but like I think the juice that Carlisle can get out of this set of players is going to be maximized. And so, yeah, I however you find fun ways to bet this team, maybe it's a conference seeding bet. I found over unders on those, Sean. I thought I might bring it up specifically for the Pacers because you can take over under 7.5. I 100 under. I mean, for them to outperform and get into the 6th seed. Well, and the way I'm reading this, you get 7 as well. Like
yeah, you're right.
So I absolutely love kind of doing something fun like that because I mean, they're going to outperform. So let's not lay minus 175. Let's find a more fun way to bet it. Straight up, if you want to take them to be the 6th seed, plus 550.
New York Knicks sitting at 42 and a half as well. Over is Terrell's pick here. The Knicks were an interesting case because it seemed like kind of best case scenario last year. They really outperformed. I mean, we were all on the over. It hit pretty easily, but now it's it's going to kind of regress maybe a little bit. But I feel like they factored that into this number at 42 and a half, which makes it pretty interesting. I'm thinking I'm going to take the over here, but I'm open to being swayed. Munaf, what do you got of the Knicks?
Yeah, I think this team went through a significant culture shift when they hired Tibbs, right? I think they gave him a lot more power, and rightfully so. That this was an organization that was a laughing stock of the NBA, but now you bring in a stubborn guy like you guys alluded to in Tibbs. And the offseason moves, right? I think the two guys that they brought in, Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, is really going to help them on the offensive end. That was really their struggle last year in the playoffs, is that Julius Randle looked like he was tapped out, right? I mean, there's only one guy that can score the basketball for the man, was Julius Randle. And now you bring in two guys that can, score buckets. The interesting part for Tibbs is going to be having those two guys buy in on the offensive side, the defensive side. And I think that they'll be able to. Basketball is always better when the Knicks are good. We saw that Madison Square Garden was rocking in the playoffs. This team is pretty much back to the same team that's coming back. And let's add to the fact that Mitchell Robinson is also going to be back for this team. He was dealing with a big injury last season. So when you have those three guys back, along with Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Derrick Rose also leading that second unit for them, let's go with the over for the New York Knicks next season.
Yeah, I mean, Munaf laid out some good case. Yeah, and they have confidence, right? I mean, Madison Square Garden also, like, traditionally a pretty good home court. The fact that the fans have bought back in, they're going to be playing in front of a full stadium.
Kemba Walker back in the Garden doing things. I don't think it's hard to get a Big East guy, a UConn guy, to buy into playing a little defense in the Garden. I look at this roster up and down. This is the most excited I've been as a Knicks fan in a long time, Sean. I'm actually happy we have TVs in the office and I'll be watching the games every day, because this team just has nothing but dudes that you would pick to be on your team in a street fight. If the sport was back alley fighting, think about Taj Gibson is lurking around in this roster somewhere, teaching the young guys how to get the elbow in the ribs. You got Kemba Walker, a guy who can score. Obi Toppin. Do you remember what he did in D-Gen Madness, Sean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, let's go.
Ain't no stopping Obi Toppin.
I just think there's a lot of grit on this team, and when you're taking regular season overs in a conference that's going to be filled with middling teams, this Knicks team is absolutely getting over the total. And if you want to play it a slightly different way, because I don't think they're getting that much over the total, Knicks have 44 to 47 wins plus 275.
Ooh, that's a fun little sprinkle there.
I think they get over barely, but come on, dude. You know how Tibbs is going to roll. Like this team's going to fight every night.
I would be shocked if this team was below 500. So if you get them to 41, they only need 2 more wins. Yeah, they get it done. Bulls 43.5. Oh man, Terrell is on the under. I'm leaning under as well here. I don't know. It just seems like there's a ton of variables with this Bulls team. I mean, they brought in Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, everyone's favorite Alex Caruso. Shout out to Keeps.com. They need to reach out to Alex. And then maybe Zach LaVine gets going, but it seems like to hit this over, this number is factoring in everything going right for the Chicago Bulls, which it's been a long time since everything went right for the Bulls. I think there's just too many variables. I'm going to take the under. Munaf?
I'm on the other side of this one, Sean. I want to go with the over. I like the moves that the rebuild really started for them last year.
That's true.
Was when they traded for Vucevic from Orlando. And I think, I was one of the guys that said, hey, they can now make a playoff push, but they didn't get there. But then you add a guy like Lonzo Ball, that this team needed a true point guard, right? Kobe White was not the answer for them there. He's a great piece to have in your second unit off the bench, but I think as a starting point guard, now you have Lonzo Ball that is a pretty good defensive player also, and it's going to rack up the assists. You add a veteran in DeMar DeRozan. Now you have more scoring options for this team, and when it gets to clutch time, you don't have to rely on Zach LaVine all the time. So this is a team that's going to be either boom or bust, and I'm going to buy the boom right now for them. I think Billy Donovan has a big task in front of him to get these players in the right situations. They've looked really good in the preseason. Patrick Williams is going to be their 5th starter. A rookie last year who's been looking really good for me. And I like the depth on the team also. So I'm going to take the over on the Bulls here. I think this is a team that can probably get in as a 6 or 7 seed.
I'm with you, Sean. And another fun way to play this under and Knicks over combined, you can take the Knicks versus the Bulls to have more wins plus 125.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, because I that is a fun little angle to take. I mean, Munaf laid out a good case there, but yeah, I don't know. The Bulls, they just seem a little cursed for me. Atlanta Hawks sitting at 46.5, obviously made a nice run in the playoffs, taking down my Philadelphia 76ers. Can they bring it back? And more importantly, can they get it done in the regular season? Win total sitting at 46.5. Munaf, how say you on the Hawks?
Yeah, this is going to be one of my locks, guys. I'm taking the over on the Atlanta Hawks here. It's for two reasons, really. It's that last season when they made the coaching change from Lloyd Pierce to Nate McMillan, this team really, really took off. We saw it throughout the rest of the season, obviously into the playoffs. Injuries had something to do with it also in the playoffs, but you're dealt, you play the cards that you're dealt. And I think that for this team to get to the Eastern Conference Finals last year and, a few games away to getting to the NBA Finals, I think that taste is still going to be in their mouths and they still want to have a successful season. And again, this is a team like we talked about in the Western Conference that is like the Utah Jazz are pretty much bringing back the same roster. They added two young guys in Jalen Johnson and Sharif Cooper. Not sure how much playing time they're going to get, but when you have the same roster coming back, I think Trae Young takes another step forward. We've heard rumors, or we've heard from the camp and the coaching staff that they want him to be a better passer. I think there's a number of either, I think it was 4-1 or 7-1 for Trae Young to lead the league in assists. So if you want to look at that as a player prop bet, but yeah, I'm high on this Atlanta Hawks team. I think they can be a top 4 seed for sure, the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think this team got a ton of confidence on that playoff run. And then worth noting, they play in a horrible division too. They got Wizards, Magic, and Hornets, all who have super low win totals. So
15-1, Nate McMillan, Coach of the Year.
They can rack up. Well, yeah, and maybe they give him credit kind of for the playoff run this year last year's playoff run when they give him Coach of the Year this year. That would be kind of interesting. So yeah, 46.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also
on the over.
I'm also on the over, and for me, it's a lot to do with the fact that I'm just Nate McMillan is I like him as a coach. He seems to always maximize the team again, but he also seems to always get fired for not being able to take a team deep enough in the playoffs. It's never about the regular season. So again, I think just wherever he's been, the team, the level of that team is raised. We saw it in a small sample last year. I think Atlanta has been a great regular season team before, right? The kind of a sleepy spot, not a lot of people going to games, great strip clubs. We learned about James Harden. Yeah. So not exactly the easiest road spot. So yeah, let's take Atlanta on the over.
All right, Ryan, you're saying taking the Atlanta on the over. You know what my lead pipe block is? Odds Crowd. That's right. Free fantasy betting contest. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're a DJ and you're picking all these games anyway. Why not get a sweet pick tracker and a chance to win a bunch of cash? Their NBA season long contest, $3,000 in cash up for grabs, as well as a weekly contest worth $200 a week. And again, you enter the picks. They track your picks. They have a sweet app as well. You can get in the app store, or you can just keep it simple. Go to oddscrowd.com, sign up there. They have an NFL college one, the weekly free SGPN one.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
Set a reminder in your phone because you get 50 units a day. You gotta make sure you invest all those units. Apologies, Sean. Back to Odds Crowd.
No. I mean that's a good point because now it used to be 1, 2, and 3. Now they have 10 unit play. So even the NFL contest, you think you might be out. The winner only is 100 units. So you come in and
one heater and
stagger your 50 units per day correctly in the NFL. Look out. Again, make sure you check out oddscrowd.com where you can get set up there. And of course, mention Alex Caruso. He needs some keeps. I need some keeps. Anyone who is losing their hair needs some keeps. Treatment can take 4 to 6 months. Again, you want to hang on to the hair you got. You got to go to Keeps. It keeps your hair. Just that simple. Just go to keeps.com/SGP. Receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/SGP to get your first month free. Keeps.com/SGP. Low cost. Treatment start at just $10 per month. Keeps offers generic versions as well. Discreet packaging, proven results. Keeps.com/SGP. Now, time for the heavy hitters. Starting with the Boston Celtics, 46.5 is the win total. Terrell is on the over. Man, I love fading the Celtics. 46.5. Where are we at, Munaf? Where are we at?
Yeah, I like the over. I'll agree with Terrell on this also. I think this is a big bounce back year for the Celtics. I think there was some dysfunction between Brad Stevens and this roster last year that he didn't want to identify the true number one on this team. He kept saying, yeah, we have a lot of guys that have the potential. They were just doing a rotation between guys. The one thing that does kind of concern me is that I believe there's a few players that are not vaccinated on this team. The last thing we heard is that Al Horford tested positive. I believe Jaylen Brown also tested positive. So that might carry over like he did from last year. But, Jayson Tatum has came out and said all the right things, that he wants to be a top 5 player in this league. I love the coaching hire that they hired Ime Udoka. I did get down on him at 12-1 to win the coach of the year. And I think this is a good bounce back here for them, right? They still have the players. Robert Williams has now stepped them into the starting lineup. Like I mentioned, Al Horford is back. You still have Marcus Smart. Dennis Schroeder, I think, now has something to prove because he turned down significant money from the Lakers to now only get paid about $6 million a year. So, I like this over, and I think this is a great, like I said, a bounce back year for the Celtics.
Kramer?
I mean, it's unfortunate, right? But it seems like Brad Stevens, smart guy, Boston Celtics, well-run organization of late, and they hired a guy who, if you look at the Wikipedia page, this dude, grinder, basketball grinder, went to high school in Oregon. He went to college at Utah State for a couple of years, then San Francisco, then Portland State, and then in the NBA draft he went undrafted, and he played for Fargo Moorhead Bees, Independiente, some international, North Charleston Low Gators, Adirondack Wildcat, Charleston Low Gators, the LA Lakers, Charleston Low Gators, Gran Canaria, J.A. Vici, Fort Worth Flyers, the New York Knicks, Portland Trail Blazers, San Antonio Spurs, Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, UCAM Murcia, and then coached under Popovich for 7 years, coached for the Sixers for a couple of years, and then of course Brooklyn Nets assistant last year. Like, he's got to be a good fucking coach because he's actually done it. Unlike Jason Kidd, unlike some of these Chauncey Billups, like, coaching is a trade craft. And this guy has played for so many coaches, and I think this is another coaching over where you maximize your talent because you're a smart guy. To Munaf's point, it's not Brad Stevens, who might be a little bit of a fucking. We always question his ability to coach the professional guys.
And here's what I think. I'm gonna zag where you guys are all zigging. Give me the under 46.5 because I like some of these other teams in the East, the top heavy section a little bit more.
Oh, stop.
One, I think the new coach is going to be an issue. Maybe a slow start. He's got the credentials, but
did you listen to what I just spent 3 minutes talking about this guy's Wikipedia page? It's impressive.
I know, right? I know it's impressive, but I think there's, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. I think they're a little soft. I think that's why Brad Stevens couldn't really coach these millennials. And then you bring in Schroeder, who I feel like Schroeder doesn't put up with anyone's shit. And I feel like there's going to be some interesting negative dynamics in this Celtics team. And I still think there's still something to be said. And there's still more to that story of Brad Stevens stepping down from coaching to being moved to the front office. I think there's still some shenanigans happening in Boston. So for that reason, and this seems like a really high total. So give me the under 46.5.
When someone's not giving full effort and he says, I don't care about the last guy. You don't believe Brad Stevens played basketball. Okay. You know what? When I didn't get drafted, I went to Fargo, North Dakota to play for the Bees with a Z. All right. That's a guy they're going to listen to.
We'll see. Miami Heat 48.5. Interesting Miami Heat team. They had that. Well, I mean, it feels like forever ago. They were in the 2020 NBA Finals.
I know.
And then they brought in Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker. It's just basically, can these guys play with some of the rest of the Jimmy Butler, et cetera? Will they mix? Will they gel? Pretty good infrastructure in Miami, and Spoelstra, kind of an underrated head coach. I'm going to go over here on the Miami Heat at 48.5. there's a case where this blows up, but I like the over 48.5. Munaf, you with me or you under?
Yeah, I'm with you, Sean. I love the moves that the Heat made this season. Obviously, as I quote what Terrell says, is that they brought in Kyle Lowry's ring and his fat ass over to the Miami Heat
there's a lot
team.
of big asses in Miami.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the roster, I mean, last year it was maybe a year where they were dealing with injuries and things like that. But this roster, along with Jimmy Butler, when you have Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry as your backcourt, they're always going to have a chance to win games. And you still have Duncan Robinson, you still have Tyler Hero, should have a bounce back year. Bam Adebayo, you signed PJ Tucker, you signed one of the Morris twins. So, and don't forget, they still have Victor Oladipo on the wings, who's coming back from a knee thing. Not sure how effective he's going to be, but I think this is going to be a very good defensive team. I think that, it's going to be very hard for teams to score on them. Let's not forget, if Bradley Beal is available, Pat Riley is the guy that's going to swing for the fences. And if he's available, he's going to go out and make a trade for him if he's available or if any other star is available. So I think that Miami Heat may be a team that you want to look at taking under on their conference seeding.
Is Tyler Hero all in on basketball with all his money, Top Shot money? Do we know about that? Yeah, I mean, again, they're most likely to be buyers. That you always got to give them a bump for that. And then seems like we've talked about a lot of good coaches, at least a lot of like talent maximizing coaches in this in the Eastern Conference. So again, Spoelstra, he gets it done. Hard to see this team not winning 50 games. I'll make it a clean sweep. I'm on the over.
Yeah, right. There's a lot going on here. They're gonna get this done.
I think coaching again. We talked about some good coaches, and I think we may start talking about some bad coaches.
And a lot going on in the positive sense. Moving over to the Philadelphia 76ers sitting at 50.5. Oh, I mean, give me the over on the Sixers. They're a good regular season
team. Serious right now?
Yeah. What's not to like about the 76ers? Once they unload,
Ben Simmons is on the team.
He's not really on the team. Come on. Or do you think he's really on the team?
It's a distraction. They're talking about it.
Come on.
Rat poison.
Once they get rid of Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum or James Harden, and we haven't talked about this, Munaf. James Harden could be suiting up for the Philadelphia 76ers. That's why they have Simmons still reporting. That's why they haven't unloaded him yet. Morey loves James Harden and he's working on a deal. Something's going on in the background where he's going to tell him, look, Kyrie Irving's not going to play. You don't want to just be with Kevin Durant. That guy's a known loser. Come on. Get with some winners in Philadelphia. I think there's a chance they pull off a massive move. They're definitely going to be buyers. Ben Simmons, and even if Ben Simmons plays in the regular season, they know how to win with Ben Simmons, even with him being just a complete and total utter bitch. So over 50.5 to me feels like a great play. My boy Terrell, he's with me. Munaf, are you going to break my heart and take the under here?
Yes.
I'm going to break your heart and do a pinata dance over it.
I mean, no.
Look, let's start with the Ben Simmons thing here, and we'll make this quick, right? And he's in the building right now. He reported to the Sixers on Monday, and even Doc Rivers didn't know about it. He said, "I'm gonna learn from TMZ." And then you talked about the Danny Green comments. There's gonna be a divide in this locker room until he's traded or whatever the case might be, or whatever they work out with Ben Simmons. As far as the James Harden situation, yes, I'm pretty sure that James Harden would rather play with a off injured Joel Embiid than Kevin Durant. Let's stop that.
No way. Come on, Embiid. Come on, Embiid doesn't have a burner on Instagram. You know what I mean? Embiid will go to the strip club with you and not be weird about it. Yeah, come on. Yeah, Embiid's the guy you want. Who would you rather hang out with, Munaf, Embiid or Kevin Durant?
Embiid hanging out with Kevin with
Come
Joel
on.
Embiid is,
and that,
if you want to win, if you want to win in this league,
Harden doesn't want to win. He wants to hang out. Come on, we've known that. Hey, he was on the Rockets. You know that better than anyone.
That's true. That is true. But I mean, outside of this roster, I just don't see it. It's a very good roster. I mean, Tobias Harris had a great year last year, but outside of that, I mean, Danny Green, Seth Curry, yeah, okay, but I mean, it's not a team. I think they're going to get off to a slow start, especially with Ben Simmons still around, unless he somehow buys in and then they have a kumbaya moment in the locker room. I'm taking the under 50.5.
Why? All right. So first of all, this is the total situation you don't need to get involved in. it seems like one of those things where if you're betting it, you're only betting the under because so many things can be wrong. Ben Simmons, noted shitty teammate, all the way back to college and beyond. Who knows what kind of poison he's planted in the team, the locker room. Embiid, you're gonna bet for him to stay healthy. I mean, that's a crazy bet right there.
No, but come on. Doc Rivers is a good regular season head coach.
We talked about a lot of good coaches. I think
regular season he gets out coached in the playoffs.
Doc is a politician. Doc is a peacekeeper. Doc is a rah motivator. I don't know if Doc is making this team better. I think the situation's gone beyond what he offers, and I think as long as Ben Simmons is on this team, I want nothing to do with it. So yeah, I don't want to bet on Embiid playing the entire season. I don't want to bet on Ben Simmons creating positive things.
He's had back-to-back 49 win teams, and that's in a 72 game season. Come on, this guy can get he's going to be fine.
Under.
You guys are crazy. I wish Terrell was here to come up with some more good points. Why people should be on the over.
It's dynamite, man. Again, you know, I like to reference the great movie The Shooter. Well, but this is the part at the end where Mark Wahlberg has the recording, the evidence to prove that they're guilty, and he throws gasoline on it and lights it on fire because it's too why would you do this to yourself? Why take the overshot?
Bucks 54.5 plus 20 to 1 to miss the playoffs. Doesn't seem like that'll happen unless Giannis gets injured. Coming off the championship, I mean, you could go. I think the two angles here are either they're a little feeling themselves, smelling themselves, still partying it up and kind of cruise in the regular season, or they have a new level of confidence. They have a chip on their shoulder still, and they dominate in the regular season. Where are you at, Munaf? Under or over for the Bucks?
I think the question is going to be, are they going to have a championship hangover or around their team? I don't think so. I think that they're a great regular season team. Your top three dogs are still back with Giannis, with Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. They added Grayson Allen, Ted Cruz's son. You get Dante DiVincenzo back, who missed pretty much the entire playoffs last year to an injury. Coach Bud is a great regular season coach, and I think they'll be competing again for a top 2 seed in this Eastern Conference. I don't love it, but I will take the over on the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the good combination of a coach that seems to understand enough of how basketball is played until the playoffs show up, and just you have the home field. That's a home court that I called it home field. That's a home court where they bring it every night, and I guess maybe is the better way to play it. Maybe take them to get the 1 seed. I feel like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to mess around with their win total for whatever reason, but it does feel like if you can, and now it's not loading for me, but I'll pull up the price on them to get the 1 seed. Here we go. Plus 180 for them to be the 1 seed. That feels like a better. I'd rather take that than over. What is it? 54.5.
Yeah. I mean, if we're just picking this, I guess.
But I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. Terrell, the lone under better. I mean, they were a good regular season team before they kind of went on that playoff run. So I think I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be another good regular season team. Obviously, key addition DiVincenzo, getting him back. So I'm with you. Over 54.5.
Most regular season wins, also a fun one at 3-1.
Yeah, that's probably the better way to play than just straight over 54.5.
Which, by the way, Utah's 4-1 on that same bet.
Last team on the Eastern Conference win totals, the Brooklyn Nets at 56.5. Now this is a distraction. Kyrie Irving not playing with the team, doesn't want to get vaccinated, so he's just not going to play.
Well, it gives him more time to research the flat Earth thing.
I mean, if you're on Kyrie Irving's side, I mean, you can do the math there. Also a big flat earther guy.
He's also looking into tetanus, I heard.
And I think they could be pretty flat. Speaking of flat, I don't know. I mean, James Harden, again, I still think there's a chance he gets moved. Call me crazy. I still think there's an outside shot he ends up on the Sixers. I'm gonna mark this clip.
Sean,
when he gets traded, you guys will be kicking yourself.
I'm gonna throw something out there, but I feel like we need to start hearing about your thoughts on the NBA. Maybe like 60 seconds a week, but just like who's gonna move, who isn't, what's going on.
I'm hearing rumblings.
Yeah.
I'm going under 56.5. There are teams that can win 60 games. I just don't see the Nets being one of them.
Who's taking this over? I want to speak to these
Terrell.
people. I want to speak to.
Fortunately, his internet connection crapped out, but we'll have to connect with Terrell on Slack. It's just a scenario where like everything has to go right, and it just seems like there's too many landmines for this Nets team. Munaf, are you on the under or over?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I got to take the under here, right? We already talked about the Kyrie situation. I think this is another team that they're probably going to load manage because, we had Harden that had the injury last season in the playoffs. He missed, and then Kevin Durant also coming back from 2 injuries. I still want to see this team improve on the defensive end because I think their mentality right now says, okay, we can go out there and outscore you. But if you run into a team that's having an even better shooting night than you, some of these losses are going to pile up. Let's not forget, this is Steve Nash's second year, right? He still doesn't have that whole coaching experience. I'm sure he learned a lot in year 1, but I still don't believe him as a head coach for this basketball team. And I think there's a significant turnover on his coaching staff too, right? Mike D'Antoni's gone now. Ime Udoka got hired by the Celtics. So he's going to have new coaches there. So I'm taking the under 56.5 here.
The coaches he lost matter. And I think, they both have shown through various different experiences to maybe we'll find out with Udoka, but with D'Antoni, like I think that matters. I think having D'Antoni was a huge deal. And back especially to these guys with no experience. Like I think there is something to be learned, coaching at the lower levels, coaching as an assistant, seeing how other people do it. And I get it. Nash played for some good coaches, but I think you learn a little bit more being a coach yourself. I don't understand who would be.
It's Coach Ryan talking.
I think it's important. I think you learn a lot watching other successful organizations, and when your experience is just kind of where you were, I think that limits what you can be. So obviously, a delicate situation. He's there more to be Steve Nash, like the Sherpa of these superstars, than probably a coach. And so you can never take an over on a guy like that in my mind. And specifically, like who's taking the over on this team? There's question, like Sean said, James Harden might be going out of time. I think the way you play this is you fade them in a head-to-head matchup. I see the Bucks are plus 165. I see the Sixers are plus 225 in a heads-up matchup. You play them maybe to not be the 1 seed. I just don't think. I would fade. I would fade the Nets in any way you can. For them to win 51 to 40, 51 to 54 games is plus 275. Because I just don't think it seems clear to me they're not going to be the 1 seed. Because why do they need to be the 1 seed? Kyrie can't play when they're at home. They need to be a road team.
No, and he's not playing with the team at all.
Maybe he's the guy who goes to Philly.
Possible.
Well,
that makes a lot of sense.
We had
Kyrie
that debate.
For a Simmons swap.
Yeah, we had that debate in the group group chat. What would you rather have, Kyrie or Ben? And I would definitely rather have Kyrie. I mean, when he plays, his skill set is so much better match for Embiid and what they're trying to do than Ben Simmons. So I would definitely.
They're both head cases. Kyrie is off the court though, and Ben's is on the court.
Yeah, as long as he wants to play and would be on the court, I would definitely take him over Simmons in a heartbeat. And I don't know if the Nets, maybe they don't. I mean, obviously they don't need shooting. They have Durant and Harden, so they would be fine with that. Maybe they would actually trade for Simmons.
Also important to point out that
it'll be a part of the Harden package.
As someone from the Northeast, things that the Mets, Jets, and Nets do are lose. So be wary of that.
Nets add them to the curse franchise.
Why did they
list.
make 3 teams that rhymed like that?
I don't know. Not creative.
It was planned.
All right. So Terrell's lock is for the Washington Wizards under at 33.5. Munaf, we'll let you go first here. What do you got? Give us like 3 win total locks.
Yeah. I'm going to double lock it up with Terrell there on the under 33.5 for the Wizards. Let's go with the over 42.5 for the Indiana Pacers. I just like the coaching upgrade there.
Ooh.
And then let's go with Kyle Lowry's fat ass in his ring over 48.5 on the Miami Heat.
I like that. That is fun.
See, that's fucked up. You should have had me go first again, like you did on the West, so it didn't look like I was copying Munaf. I definitely am locking up this Wizards. This might be a full synergy, full show synergy here on the Wizards, because it seems like this is the most likely team to be selling their bona fide superstar. So I like them to drop it under. I also like the Pacers over. Again, the coaching edge here is huge. And I'll add a third kind of coach angle, since I'm not going to also do Miami. That would be silly. Atlanta to go over. I think the Nate McMillan, just an excellent coach of men, and you know, we've seen Atlanta be a very successful regular season team before. So let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, my
what
locks.
are you doing?
You
Sean?
guys stole a bunch of ones that I liked. I will take.
It's not stealing. You can make it the first ever 4-way. We all chose the same horse stream.
Yeah, no, Wizards, just because they're gonna trade their best player. Pacers as well. That seems like an obvious spot, like the Knicks last year. Geez,
just take the Sixers. Do it.
Nah.
Come on. You're wearing a Philadelphia.
All right, yeah,
jersey.
I'll take the Sixers over.
Oh God!
But if I was taking non-homer, I'll throw in a bonus non-homer
It's the worst
play.
lock I've ever heard.
A bonus non-homer play of the under on the Bulls at 43.5. That is just too much stuff has to go right. I know Munaf's on the other side, but
I like that. I like that Knicks plus 125 versus the Bulls.
that is fun. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on for the East and the West. Make sure you follow Munaf on Twitter at SportsNerd824. Make sure you subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast. If you haven't already subscribed, leave a nice rating and review. Got a chance to win free gear every Monday, aka Merch Monday. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Stacking the Money Green, and he is Ryan.
Sean, California to win the NBA championship plus 215.
Kramer, let it ride.